All right. Questions?
Not today, David. Not today. I'm doing good that I got here. So
I see.
that's
So
that's where I'm at today, David.
you haven't practiced much, I gather.
Mm, no, not not this iteration. That's okay though.
Well, you do what you can do.
We do what we can do.
Um, so let's. We're not going to do a long standing thing, but let's just do a little standing
Sure,
and a little cloud hands
sure.
and a little spine stretch, and then we'll go to introducing the beginning to introduce the three swings, which is going to take a little while.
Okay.
So let's start with that.
Mm, yeah.
So stepping out, coming into your alignments, feeling your feet relaxing, merging downward, opening to the earth. Feel your head lifting, not pulling up the chin, but opening the occiput and connecting to the universe. We're relaxing the shoulders. Just let them sink. Feel the armpits open, midriff open, perineum open, back of the knees open. And going back to the top of the head, aware of your breath and allowing the energy to just sink through your body. And remember that you can encourage that process by twisting outward and allowing the weight to shift towards Shimiyan at the point of your heel. Just opening to be aware of that downward flow, cleansing the body. Then coming back to center and And being aware of extending your mind through your body and beginning to scan from the crown of your head downward. And wherever you encounter a blockage, which could be anywhere in your body, at first we are not so acutely aware of them, but the large ones will stick out a bit. So just focus on one. And allow it to dissolve. Ice to water. And water to gas. Then allow the energy to sink on down through your body. And just once more sink from the crown of your head down through your feet. And then shifting the weight into your left foot, begin to rotate, the arms beginning to move, the right leg send out into a wider stance as you flow into cloud hands. Endeavoring to keep the movement continuous and rounded. Then letting the arms drop, bringing the right leg back into Bujipu. and going into the Taoist spine stretch. And so you can do this at your own pace. Remembering that you want to work with each section and keep whatever part of your spine above it you're not addressing straight. And closing. So, any questions in there?
I don't think so.
Okay. So, how are how are you doing feeling what's happening in your spine stretch?
Um, okay. I think I don't know. I don't know. Sometimes it's really good and it's like super great, and other times it's just like it feels like all the stuff around the spine is like super mad and like there's a ton of tension there, and it's not enjoying the stretching process, and it's very distracting. You know, it's
so,
like
so what that's obviously saying is that you've got a lot of energetic blockages in there.
yeah, I think
That
it's like oh if I if I wanted to actually do this, we would be here for 3 hours. Like uh, so yeah, it's a little tricky. I'm getting a better sense of um, it's like every time I get to a spot, I'm like, it feels like I can't get it to. I'm having trouble like getting it to sync. It's always at the spot. I'm like, oh yeah, it's supposed to go down your arms a little bit, and like I kind of release my shoulders, and I'm like, oh yeah, that works a lot better. um,
that
so
does help.
yeah, I'm noticing that a little more. I I really like um, not letting the head drop is difficult.
Mm-hmm.
I the trying to bend right at the base of the spine while not like letting anything else above it droop.
Yeah.
I'm it feels very awkward and hard to do without a ton of tension.
So,
Yeah.
well, I definitely can understand that. Um, you want to you want to try to trade off tension for attention,
Okay. Yeah.
and simply allow it to stay straight. Um, but that's not necessarily easy at the beginning.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Um, uh, just as for many people, feeling the front of the spine is something that may take weeks or months to develop.
Right.
Um, so yeah, it's like I'm. We're not doing anything here that isn't helped by um, a lot of practice.
Yeah.
I mean, that's honest.
Right. Right.
And so one of the things to recognize is that I'm not saying that to put pressure on you. I'm saying that when you arrive at a point where you can do more practice and can really focus on it, um, you know, actually contained in today's lesson, and I'll just verbalize it rather than read it to you. Um, when Bruce was 19 and he had been studying karate and Xingyi in Japan and Taiwan, and as a matter of fact, his karate team won the All Japan Championship
Well.
1 year, and he said he didn't lose any matches. So he was pretty good. he when he was in he had gone then to Taiwan, and he was began to study Tai Chi with a master there, whose name I can't recall at the moment. Doesn't really matter. But he'd been studying with him for about a month, and he had gotten friendly with one of the senior students. He said, "How do you?" He said, "This sort of feels like, funny movements." He said, "How do you get really good with this?" And the guy said, "Well, I think you should ask the sensei that." So in a class shortly thereafter, he asked the master how he could get good at Tai Chi. And the master said, "Well, I'll tell you what I've told many, many, many students, but almost none of them ever do it. And that is that you practice these exercises that we do every day before class really, really hard. And that's how you can really learn to do Tai Chi."
Hmm.
What he was doing was opening the energy gates of your body before class.
Gotcha.
And Bruce started practicing that up to 6 hours a day. That's Bruce. I'm not
Yeah.
suggesting you should do that, but
Yeah.
um, and he said after several months of doing that, he was better at that school's Tai Chi than students who had been studying for 15 years.
Right. Right.
And and he said, then he began to really try to find out about this practice and discovered that it was a 3,000-year-old Taoist practice that had been around for a while. Um, so, I mean, that's just how it is. Either you I've been lucky in that I could make Tai Chi something that I did a lot of. I
Right.
didn't do 6 hours a day practice, but and I'm not a master either.
Mhm.
Um, anyway, so interesting story, and
Yeah.
it's
No, I mean that's sometimes yeah, I don't usually have a lot of questions or much to say because I'm like I just I need to do it more, you know. Um,
yeah. And
yeah.
the thing that struck me, and when I learned energy gates from Bruce, he said that 60% of what you need to know to do Tai Chi well is contained in energy gates.
Right.
That's his estimate. Uh,
Yeah.
who knows how accurate that is? But what he's saying is that energy gates is really important that
Hmm.
that way,
Right.
because what you're learning in energy gates is what you need to do Tai Chi.
Yeah.
So, blah blah blah.
No, I mean it's definitely you know, the moments in this when things have lined up or happened, it's been the most like overwhelmingly clear and obvious senses of stuff moving,
Yeah,
of having a connection and actually feeling it. Everything else, I'm like, yeah, like that's okay. Like, yeah, I have a sense of that, or like I can feel it, but like, yeah, this I'm like, oh, like, oh, yeah.
yeah,
So it is like a stark contrast to like, oh, that was I am feeling it there, but like that's like it feels like I'm being told, like, you know,
Yeah. Yeah.
there's no ambiguity about it. So
And we all go through that, and you have sometimes you have days and strings of days when it
right.
doesn't seem like very much is happening, and then all of a sudden you have a day and it's like, oh my God, what happened here?
Yeah. Yeah.
All of a sudden, I understand something that I haven't understood before.
Right. Right.
So, anyway,
Hmm.
so let's launch into this.
Sure.
So, as I said, opening the energy gates has been around for about 3,000 years and is one of the most primary developmental forms of Qigong. Um, the spiraling energy body, which is kind of opening or continuing the energy gates part two, is where all the material for the 200 standing postures of Taoism is located. But if we then take the standing, is how you begin to start connecting everything internally inside you. And gravity, just by the sheer act of standing, starts making you aware of what's inside your body. This is because you have a point counterpoint, and just the weight of gravity starts causing you to notice how it flows through your body, and any place that gravity hits makes it easy to start recognizing what is happening inside your body. So you might not normally know where you where your liver, your shoulder, your heart, your lungs are, this piece of flesh or that piece of flesh is located. But as time goes on and you're relaxing, this flow of gravity is moving through you. It has the effect that is just like when you take one hand and put it on top of the other hand. You start feeling what it is feeling what it is pressing on. And that's the whole nature of point, counterpoint, or contrast in anything. But this training is not about that in particular. Then you go to the next movement, cloud hands. And that is about getting your entire body linked up so that the chi flows from top to bottom and you have the process of connecting your body. However, in that you have an inherent problem. It's terribly easy not to notice if your arms and legs are really connected to your torso and your internal organs. And it's very difficult to tell if your external body movement from your hips and your spine and your internal movements are flowing out of your midsection where your internal organs are, is actually arriving at the ends of your fingers and legs and the crown of your head. So we'll talk about the fact that you have a body, but now you have all these limbs to deal with. To actually get that free flow of energy moving from your limbs through your torso and eventually from your feet all the way to the top of your head and your fingertips and back down is actually what the primary function of these three swings is. Now, in that process, it's also dealing with the way in which your body turns, because your body has two primary forms of movement. It has vertical and it has horizontal. It has lateral, and it has up and down, and it has side to side, but it's very easy to have the sense of the body being segmented into arms are moving, a waist is moving, a leg is moving, and Cloud Hands is supposed to help you get that they all need to be connected. But the swings go to the next step. Once you have this connection built up, it becomes, how does what's in your midsection travel out to your hands and come back into your midsection? How does the motion between your internal organs and your periphery, arms and legs, feet and head, start becoming unimpeded in both directions? So for most of you who do this, who do things like Tai Chi and Bagua, you have a fundamental, major, giant issue. You want to get your hands coming out of your legs and your body and not just moving your hands. In order for that to happen, it's necessary that whatever is coming from your legs moves through your body, and even before your arms move, that it is what is coming from your legs through your internal organs that is causing your arms to come out of your body. Likewise, how is it that anytime you have any hand motion that really goes into your body and ends up at your feet? And all of this is actually necessary in order to arrive at what is called the Holy Grail of Qigong, which is called Qigong. And that means that your qi is circulating throughout your whole body very evenly. So very often, when you do Cloud Hands, and just for a moment, I'm going to do it really badly.
Okay.
So my arms are sort of connected to my waist, and my legs are sort of connected to my arms, but they're not working together. And you know that. We've talked about wanting to not be segmented and have everything working together. And so that, of course, is what we want to end up with, that everything is completely connected. But there is a difficulty. Getting how to do this in slow motion is sometimes too hard, because there's these little mini gaps that can occur. So you have a disconnect, you have a gap, you have a disconnect. Whereas when you start getting how to do this by whatever the swings are, it starts to become fairly obvious if you're actually getting the qi to move up and down and up, because you can moderate the speed, presuming you don't go manic, because you can change the speed up so you're not moving so slowly that you cannot notice it, and not so fast so that it starts becoming impossible to notice if you're getting the flow. So from a giant point of view, this is what you're dealing with. Part of that is now we have two other giant issues. The first one is, are your legs actually connected to your torso? It's like the case anytime you're doing Cloud Hands or Tai Chi, where it may be easy enough to connect your legs to your torso, but energy gates is doing it in a very tight area to get the basic connection. And then you have that base, and when you have that basic connection, just like once you know how to add, multiply, and divide, you can take on all sorts of mathematics. But if you don't have add, multiply, and divide, you can't do it. And you keep making mistakes, like adding 2 and 2 equaling 7. That just doesn't work. So you have to have a foundation. And if you get a foundation doing a small movement of a less number of things, it becomes dramatically easier to get what the foundation is. Then doing 50 or 100 movements, as in Tai Chi, and trying to somehow get it in there. So as we begin to look at these, the arms are fairly easy to understand. They are actually the easier part. The harder part in the 3 swings really is the legs. And let me give you a big, giant macro overview, and then we'll just get it going. The first thing is that if you can do Tai Chi or any sort of movement, we have a question. Are your legs connected to your internal organs and your spine? Is it a clean flow? For instance, if you take a step by just moving your leg, it's not connected to anything. Whereas if you do a whole body movement stepping out, then there's a link between the supporting leg that goes all the way over to the other one that's moving. It's connected to your body. So for example, if you do Tai Chi, your legs must stay connected to your body. Then you'll get maximum qi flow. If the qi from your legs does not connect to your body and to your spine, guess what? It's not going to go to your hands, and it's not going to go to the crown of your head. So what do you do in order to do that? So we have another whole issue. The second swing, of course you don't know what these are yet, but we'll get to them, more or less covers you for every movement you will ever do where the hands are somewhere around the middle of the body. But the other thing is that goes on in Tai Chi and Bagua and other forms of Qigong, and that is the fact that your hands go from high to low. So where the hands are actually switching directions and changing from high to low. Mm-hmm. The issue is, how do you go from high to low? And we are going to go into that in this third swing. And the question is, how do you get the energy from your legs and waist to truly move through your body and lift your hands? So if you just lift your arms, obviously that's not connected really to anything because you're lifting them independently. And that's not what we want to do in Tai Chi. What you are supposed to be doing in Tai Chi is that the energy is supposed to move through in clean continuum. Like when you're playing billiards, when you hit a ball, the entire cue moves as you push from the back of it. You're not making separate pieces, trying to move separate pieces of the stick. And then you have the issue of how do you get the arms to move up and down? And and not just use your arms? How do you get this flow so that your hand doesn't lift as you lift your hand? How are your hands lifted? Because your leg lifts them. And when your leg lifts them up, how about the opening of your hands? It's not that you drop your hands. You drop your hands, which is not the main point. You can just move your hands, but how about the fact that from the top of your head to your hands, your chi goes right through the bottom of your legs? It goes all the way down. And then when it wants to go up, you don't do anything independently with your arms, because if you don't do anything independently with your arms, the only way it can happen is to get the energy flow to go through your body all the way up and all the way down. So these are the big, giant macro things you're looking at. Now you might say, well, that looks really easy. Well, until you try it and do it, just wait, because you're going to come into one very major problem. The way in which most of us disconnect our arms from our body is that we hold our arms and we want to move them independently. How about that your arms are just part of your body? So when we do the first swing, we are not moving the arms independently at all. They're moving because of centrifugal force. And so we have to learn to completely let go of the arms in that first one. If you have, well, we don't need to do that. So you're trying to get the energy to come from your body and to go out without actually independently moving your arms. So all of this is about that eventually, if you can move through your organs and come out, and come from your arms to your legs, or in other words, you're getting a clean pass-through of energy from your feet to your fingertips to the crown of your head, in both directions, up and down, as well as you're also getting something else out of this. Most people who do energy gates usually go into something like Tai Chi. What is the biggest single thing you do in Tai Chi or Bagua, or for that matter, Xing Yi? You do one basic thing. You turn your waist one way and you turn it the other. And as you do that, whatever it is your hands do, they move with your waist action. Well, that means that whatever you're doing, if it's a Tai Chi move, that what is coming up from your legs and your waist is transferring through your body to your hands. How is that really different from the swing? How is there any difference at all? You're turning your waist to move so that your legs and your waist become one unit, so that your hands will move without your without you particularly using your hands. So that's where all this is going in terms of working on something like Tai Chi. So I told you the story about Bruce, which is so the basic thing you're doing when you're doing a lot of movements, unless you start in childhood, unless you're incredibly naturally talented, is it's very hard to understand what the basic problems are. And when you only do a small number of things and you do it a lot, all of a sudden, every single thing at time, doing a small number of things, you're constantly continuing the same principles. And if you do it or you don't, it starts becoming really obvious. You just can't miss it. And if you do that, you start being able to become to begin doing the principles. And so you start finding that that cuts through everything else you were doing, because you're still doing the same principles. And it doesn't much matter what the format is, whether it's Tai Chi, Xing Yi, Bagua, the short form or the long form, it's still all just the same stuff. So if you're looking for what is the specific Qigong thing that the internal martial arts are completely wedded to, for sure, it's energy gates. Now, one more point, and this is kind of my setting you hopefully on the right track. Bruce said he started off doing cloud hands. When he started off doing cloud hands, his hips were so flexible and open from the karate work he had done that he could easily turn beyond 90 degrees to each side. But he could not do that and connect to the energy and keep it all integrated. And when he began to really realize that that's what he wanted to do, he said that he discovered that the best he could do and actually keep everything connected and integrated was about this much. So all his flexibility was wonderful, but he didn't have any sense of how to connect the energy. So he said that you have to start as small as necessary in order to feel that. And then as you continue practicing, you find that all of a sudden you can go a little bit further and then a little bit further, and eventually you're able to go into the full movement. So we're going to start off with the first swing. The second and third are harder ones, to say the least. So let's look at these basics, which are basic if you learn Tai Chi, for example, or you're just going to be, and you're just going to be hearing that over and over again, because they are the basics. They are the basic alignments of every form of Taoist bodywork. So the first one you really know. If you have a spine and a pelvis and legs and feet, how do you get the chi flow to move through them? So the first thing that you have to find is what you're doing with the base of your spine. And you know that we want to sink it and have it pointing straight downward. And what that does is it places a little bit of extension on the base of the spine and begins to open the spaces between the vertebrae and allows the energy, therefore, of your spine to begin to move down through your legs. Most people who do most external martial arts, dance or yoga, their chi does not get through their legs regardless of how flexible they are. You want to drop your hips so that your hips are going down and getting your sacrum to point straight down to the earth. So this is effectively going to apply traction on your spine so that it causes that opening. And that you're familiar with. You should be able to do that. I'm presuming that's not a question for you.
No.
And that allows really your spine to begin to penetrate your feet. One instruction that Bruce got in China when he was trying to understand this was he was practicing with actually a little older woman who said to him, "Your spine must fucker your foot." So that really says it, although it's not the way we would usually state it. And interestingly enough, that ability to be able to get the energy to move from your spine down through your hips and through your legs and feet into the earth is also what we want to have happen when we're meditating in our Taoist meditation practice. Now, I want to make a point that you're not going to want to do this with any sort of force because you don't want to apply any significant, you don't want to, you want to apply any significant pressure on the spinal vertebra unless you want them to make noise and cause you problems. So the first thing that can happen is as you open the spine is that the space between the vertebrae are going to elongate until you get some sensory feeling going through your legs down to your feet. Will it happen all at once? No, probably not, because it takes time for it to penetrate. Eventually, you will actually feel the fluid that moves between your cells going through your legs. So you're, of course, trying to keep that feeling in the spine and the legs happening the entire time you're doing opening the energy gates or Tai Chi or Bagua. And in the Tai Chi Classic, this is one of the main meanings of one of the statements, which is that the tailbone wants to be central. And central means to point to the ground, not backwards. Actually, in China, they refer to people who push their butt back as having a monkey tail. So when you start to feel something going through your legs, penetrating your legs, the object is that it penetrates to the ball of your foot, Yongchuan, the bubbling well point, and to your toes, and later on, all the way back to the center of your heel at Shimian. You want to get the energy dropping right through your legs into the ground. So there's kind of an interesting little exercise. So just for a moment, I want you to scrunch your jaw together and grind your teeth and hold that. Feel what that tension is like. And then without opening your mouth, let your entire jaw relax and just have the sense of your jaw dropping down into your body. And that's about how hard people tend to hold their lower back. So if you relax your jaw, let your lower back just kind of open up. Because you want to keep that relaxed all the time. So thinking about wanting to have that kind of relaxation and keeping the lower back straight, I'm going to just begin to introduce this first swing, which is very much like the first swing of Master Joe, but not entirely. No, that's not what you meant to do, David. And you can, of course, do this with me. So when we finish cloud hands, our feet are a little wider than shoulders width. And for the first swing, you want to leave them that width. And we practiced previously thinking about your basic structure, the sacrum pointing straight down to the earth and the hips relaxed. And the basic body movement is what we have done before with cloud hands, in which we are simply rotating and shifting from side to side. So that basic movement we've worked on before. The key throughout all three swings, one of the keys, is that the arms are completely relaxed. You do not do anything with the arms and hands. It is the energy of the body and your intent that move them. So we want to do this movement quickly enough that it brings the arms up to roughly about waist level. So I'll talk about a little more about principle here in a moment. But you want to not lift them. I'm not Here I'm picking up my arms and making them go there. So it wouldn't matter whether I went very slowly or very fast. I'm moving my arms independently. If I go slowly with the arms completely relaxed, they do not go to the level we need. So I have to go a little more quickly. And one of the things you'll find is that the more relaxed your shoulders and arms are and back, which is part of the reason why we talked a moment ago about letting all of that relax, is that the arms will move higher more easily and the energy will flow more freely if you are relaxed. So the first thing is that we're simply trying to get the arms, shoulders, and back to be completely relaxed and to find the pace where you can get the arms to lift to roughly that level of the waist. It's actually about the level of the kidneys. And so try that for a moment. Let me just see what you're doing.
Sure. Can you see me? I don't have my.
Yes, I can see you.
Okay. Here.
Oh, look at that.
Just need a little room. Okay.
Okay. So that looks pretty good. One of the things that this you this trains and you need to watch for is keeping the 4 points together.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it's very easy to over rotate the shoulders. So you have to let the arms go, but also not over rotate the shoulders.
Yeah.
And and you want to fully shift the weight to each foot, at least eventually, and not have, as far as you can, any pause. So, in other words, it's not sweep to the side, pause, sweep to the other side, and pause. It's really,
Right.
it needs to be continuous. Okay.
Cheat.
Well, that'll give you something to work on.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Any question about that?
Yeah. I assume it's like the typical like. There's like a little circle on each side.
Um, this really is more like the concept of the um, rubber band airplane.
Okay.
The propeller winds up to one and then unwinds. So there is a reversing, but you're not. This doesn't have that subtle figure eight movement that you have in cloud hands.
Okay. Yeah, that'll give me something to play with. Um, I, it might. I mean, I could just not be relaxing my shoulder enough. My backhand wants to hit my butt a lot. You know, I mean, it could just be something I need to play with and relax and get a little more flexibility. But is that like? I mean,
Yeah.
I assume like you said, we're trying to get up to the kidney.
Well, okay. So let me explain here.
Sure.
One of the ways of thinking about the three swings is that you're working with the triple warmer meridian. Are you familiar with that?
Think so.
Okay. So um, the first swing moves. The reason why we talked about the base of the spine and the hips and the legs is that the first swing primarily moves with getting the energy to flow through the digestive organs and perhaps the kidneys.
Okay.
It's it's the kidneys are kind of on the border of the first and second um, warmers,
Yeah.
so they can go as high as the kidneys, but they don't have to.
Okay.
That's kind of really the way we describe it. So you're not trying to force the hands up to the kidneys, but if they do go that high, it's okay.
Gotcha. Okay.
In the second swing, they have to go to the kidneys.
Okay.
Um, I'm just wondering if I should tell you another detail, but
Do it. No.
okay. So this is where intent comes into it. And this is tricky in that you, I have to make this so you can see what I'm talking about. Let's see. I'm gonna stay closer here, so you can see my arms, and I'm gonna just move my arms for a moment here, so you can see. When your hands tap into the body, you want the tiger's mouth of your hand. That's the area of the thumb and index finger to tap the body.
Okay.
As they come forward, that tiger's mouth opens up,
Okay.
and then it goes, and as you go to the other side, it twists to tapping the body. So do the first part first. Really get to where you can get this swing to be absolutely continuous and connected and relaxed, that you don't have to think about that particular part of it, and then begin to focus on getting your intent and your energy to move the arms. So they are continuously twisting through that whole movement.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. And then, so is it like out and then in, out and in?
Yeah, it's into the body, out,
Out,
into the
in,
body, out.
out. And then
Yeah.
I imagine it's in and out everywhere. Like
Yes, it is.
kind of like cloud hands. Okay, yeah, cool.
Yeah. So uh, you remember we were talking about uh, feet, hands, and crown of the head.
Hmm.
The ideal is that yes, it's coming into the it's coming into the center. So it's kind of interesting because the arm movement seems counterintuitive.
Yeah, right,
So you're coming in and going out, and coming in, going out.
right. But it also makes sense. So let's not think about that too much.
No, don't think about that.
Before, no, no, just just because my initial inclination was like, yeah, that makes sense, even though the arms are doing the other thing. But if I think about it too much,
Yeah,
I'll get my own way.
so don't think
Good.
about it too
Yeah.
much. um, yeah, I think one of the things that this the swings teach us is that what we normally think about in terms of relationships of bodily movement and energy movement aren't always necessarily the same. And goodness knows that's true in Tai Chi.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
So it's just part of um, I think I think getting to that awareness and being able to accept it. It's like um, the that left hand S curve movement in the single arm eight gates that throws everybody because they don't want to have a movement go in opposition to the way the body's going.
Right. Yeah.
Um, so good. How's your Tai Chi? Speaking of that,
Probably, probably the same as where we left it.
where
Yeah.
did we leave it?
I think we just flowed and um I you might have shown like the next posture. I don't even think so.
Yeah.
I think
So
we just
should
did
we
a flow.
do a flow?
We can try. We certainly can try.
Yeah, you need to be able to levitate and do it in the air.
Oh, well, I'll 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 have to try a lot harder. I got air traffic too. There's a bug around.
Actually, you probably won't be able to do that.
No, I think I would have had to start practicing quite a while ago.
um,
Can Bruce levitate and do it?
I've never seen him get off the ground. No.
Shoot, I don't think I want to start trying.
I could have seen his energy get other people off the ground, but
Yeah.
Tai Chi. I need to practice.
Ah, hello.
Hello.
Would you like to go out? You're sneaky. Go ahead. Okay, now Tai Chi.
So begin Tai Chi addressing the earth. So spiraling down into the left, rising into Pung, slowly sinking. Jeep, Liu, on, shift, and release. Turn the leg, shift, step, and shift forward to ward off left. And reset, rising to ward off right, and roll back. Sink, sinking back, twisting in and press forward. Push downward. And sitting back, turn. Rotate on to the right and step back with the left. Single whip. Turning on the left heel, right toe, drop the heel and rise to left hand. Turn. Drawing in, step and brush knee. Shift forward and reset. Lift hand, play peepaw. Step and brush knee. And brush knee. And step and brush knee. Play peepaw again. Brush knee. Sit back, hands drawing in, forming the fist. Kick. Elbow, back fist. Stepping through, deflect, and punch. Withdraw, and push downward. Sitting back, rotate the left foot forward. Rise to cross hands. Release. Right arm deflect down. Shift back and step to the rear corner. And ward off. Roll back. Press forward. And push downward, grasping sparrow's tail. Shift back, turning. Step to the front corner. Single whip. Sit back and turn. Step up with the right. Ear strike. Shift on to the right and turn. And rise to punch. Draw back in and repulse monkey. And then stepping forward, diagonal flying. Shift forward, lift hand, turn, and high pat. Draw in, brush knee, and pick up needle at C bottom. Rise, step, fan through the back, turn, step to back fist, pull down, kick, elbow, back fist, step through, and punch. Withdraw and ward off right. Roll back. Press forward. Push downward. And single whip. And wave hand like clouds. And stepping forward and then back again to single whip. Step up, high pat. Draw in and step to ward off left. Shift forward, kick and strike, and then ward off right. Shift forward, kick and strike, turn and spin, and kick with heel, step forward, I suddenly blanked.
I fell over, so
What?
I kicked and I was falling over, so I also have no idea where we're going. And okay, don't you don't you do something like the next thing we end up doing eventually is like punching down, right?
Yeah,
Yeah. So how do you get there?
I think that was it.
Step and punch down. Punch the bed. Ugh.
Yes. The right boom. Punch. Withdraw. Then we'd have ward off right. And all of that. I'm
Go on.
suddenly having a blank moment. Sorry.
It's okay.
I've been very focused on the Wu style. I haven't been practicing this form, and I apologize. That's but happens.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm demonstrating the Wu style at World Tai Chi Day, so I've been really focusing on that practice.
That makes sense. Yeah.
I'll uh, I'll be better prepared for you next time.
Please don't worry about it.
I'm not worried about it. I
Okay,
just
good. Good. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
so I gather the kids are okay.
Yeah. 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 They're good. Good. Rowan. Rowan suddenly knows. Can just say like full on. He just talks now.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. Like, and when he doesn't know the word, he'll like. It's funny. He'll like come up with some way to say it. I don't
yeah.
have an example, but
That's
Yeah, he'll be like, the like the thing. I'll just show you, and he runs away. It's pretty funny.
but he's learning.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, it's crazy how much faster he learned how to talk than Lyra did.
Really?
Yeah, and like I felt like Lyra did a really good job of, you know,
Yeah.
uh, but I think just having, um,
Maybe having her.
yeah, um, it's so funny when they talk though.
Yeah.
Um, have you ever like seen the thing where like someone will like take two chatbots or like two AI now, right? And the
Yeah.
how they talk together.
Yeah.
It's the exact same thing.
Oh no.
It's we're having when they have a conversation. It's like so funny how similar it is. Like, hey, do you want the orange juice? Like, yes, I'd like the orange juice. Okay, here you go. Have the orange juice. Thanks for the orange juice, Rowan. I'm like, you guys don't have to say orange juice every time. you know,
They're
but
practicing. They're practicing.
yeah, they're doing great. It's just so funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, so they're good. They're good and healthy.
Great. Great. And is Kaya okay?
Yeah, yeah. Got a bunch of gardening stuff to do. Oh boy,
Oh,
excuse me, sorry. So that should be fun and exciting.
yeah.
All sorts of plans.
The kids will help. Maybe.
They'll think about it. They'll help until they realize like helping isn't the most fun thing ever.
Right.
You know. I remember last year, Lyra was like, "Oh, we're gonna like plant seeds." You're like, "Yeah, all right, yeah, I would love to help with that." I'm like, "Okay, like this is what you got to do. You got to like, She did like 4, and she was like, "This is boring." I was like, "Lyra, you don't have to help if you don't want to." And she was like, "Good." I just laughed. Like, because we get books, and it seems so fun. I put the seed on the ground, put water on it, and then there's a plant. It's like, no, well, yeah, except it's 95 degrees out, and you got to do 700 of them.
Right. One at a time.
One at a time. Right. And, she's like, okay. Not what I thought it would be like, but
No.
everyone's living. Everyone's good.
Good. Well, hang in there, and it's very good to see you. And
Yeah.
we'll do more.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Let me get my hands free. Thank you. Bye.
I look forward to an in-person.
I know. I really got to see how if Kyle would want to come and try to bring them or something or go on a walk.
Yeah.
Yeah. But no, it's definitely warm enough now. So yeah, I'll talk to her about it.
Getting there.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, have a good rest of the weekend.
You too.
Thanks. Bye.